Good morning, and thank you for joining us. For those members of the press attending via conference call, my name is Roy Buell, and I'm the mayor of Dubuque, Iowa. Today, I'm very pleased to be hosting an association that is relatively new, but has proven incredibly effective, the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. The MRCTI is just 3.5 years old, but already is comprised of 68 mayors along the main stem Mississippi River in all 10 states along the Waterways Corridor. I'm very proud to be co-chair of this association along with A.C. Wharton, Mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. The MRCTI has been able, collectively, to bring national attention to America's most important river. Jobs, 4 major industrial sectors, our economy, our life-supporting ecology, the very reason our cities were founded, are all inexorably linked to the Mississippi River. Just to demonstrate how our effort encompasses the entire waterway, I'd like to introduce to you mayors from where the river begins and where it ends. Standing with me is Mayor Rita Albrecht of Bemidji, Minnesota, the first city on the upper Mississippi, and Mayor Belinda Constant of Greta, Louisiana, which sits across the river from New Orleans, Louisiana. Mothers of the Mississippi, if you will. These two mayors and all of us in between comprise our chorus for America's original Main Street. But our reach does not stop there. We have a sister organization called the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, comprised of the U.S. and Canadian mayors along the Great Lakes. This association has been working to sustain our Great Lakes 10 years longer than we have been working on behalf of our Mississippi River, and there is much that they have taught us. Our associations joining together will result in an incredible force for 2 of the world's most important natural resources. To expand on that, I would like to introduce Mr. John Dickert, immediate past chair of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative and mayor of Racine, Wisconsin.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to hear that Mayor Buell is appreciating and understanding the importance of women in this organization, because they are the mothers of our Great Lakes and our Mississippi. I am the immediate past chair of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence Cities Initiative. I sit on the United States Conference of Mayors Water Council and the Wisconsin Coastal Management Commission. It's really all about the water. Whether it's Mississippi or the Great Lakes, all the way through the St. Lawrence, Native Americans initially settled and explored here. They came here because of the water, the transportation, the food, and we're here for those very same reasons. But we need to do much more if we're going to protect and restore and sustain this for not only our families, but our children, and more importantly, their children. The future generations are coming, and we owe them that much. Cities along the Mississippi have band together, as we have. Our fellow mayors from Canada, the United States, and these great mayors, because of the appreciation, the understanding, the recognition, and the value of this water. We lead by example. We take action. The results have led to improvements on the Great Lakes and the Mississippi. And we work together as willing partners because we share the same goals and the same values. And I will tell you, if there is a group of people in the world that get things done, it's mayors. That's why I'm here today, with my fellow mayors along the Mississippi. With almost 200 cities representing over 20 million people, we are a force that will be recognized. And the state capitals in Washington, D.C. as advocates for this tremendous resource. We're not going to be voices on our own. We're going to work together as a group, whether it's across the globe, in cities like the Baltic Sea, the Jordan River Valley, the Great Lakes of Africa, or the Far East. Washington needs to listen. They need to listen to these people that are doing the work on the ground level to protect this incredible resource. It's only with a global perspective and the appreciation of this precious nature of our water resources and the actions to sustain them that will give us the future that our children deserve. They richly deserve it, and it's our job. So we get to work together with this incredible group of people to make sure that we do, as we call it oftentimes, God's work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dickert. We now have a couple of major announcements that we'd like to share today. First, the mayors of the Mississippi River are very excited to unveil the Upper Mississippi River Economic Profile. In partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the Upper Mississippi River Basin Association, and the Nature Conservancy, the mayors are proud to host the release of this profile, the first of its kind since 1999. Some of you may recall during the fall of 2013 in Memphis, MRCTI hosted a preview of the Lower Mississippi River Economic Profile completed by the Lower Mississippi River Conservation Committee, which was then released in its complete form in 2014. Thus, for the first time, we now have contemporary economic profiles of both the upper and lower river, giving the first view of the entire waterway. For more on that, I would like to turn it over to Mayor Francis Slay of St. Louis, Missouri.
Thank you, Mayor Buell. And good afternoon. Certainly, Mayor Buell, thank you so much for hosting this conference, and I can't think of a better place to showcase the magnificence of this beautiful river and to talk about the economic impact this river has, not just on our local economies, but on the entire nation. I'd like to have Mayor Harry Rediger of Cape Girardeau to join me at the podium to talk about this. Cape Girardeau is actually where one economic profile ends, and the other one begins, placing his city on the economic fault line of the waterway, so to speak. Before completion of the Upper Mississippi River profile, we thought the annual revenue generated by the Mississippi was somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 billion. We now know the lower river generates about $151.7 billion, and the upper $253.2 billion, creating a combined figure of $404.9 billion in economic impact. Before today, we thought the Mississippi River directly supported about 1 million jobs. The river actually directly supports 585,000 jobs in the lower stem and above 755,000 jobs in the upper, yielding a total of 1.3 million jobs. The top three economies on the entire Mississippi River are manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture, generating $366 billion in annual revenue and supporting over 1.1 million jobs along the entire river. The Upper Mississippi River Economic Profile considers a 60-county area from Cape Girardeau to the headwaters region. This 60-county corridor only counts the direct counties that are adjacent to the waterway. If we were to consider more counties further to the east and west of the river, the metrics would, of course, increase significantly. Also, you will see from the Upper River profile that 112,646 jobs were lost from 1999 to 214, a majority of which were in the manufacturing sector. The Mississippi River Valley has not been immune to the shifts in manufacturing due to automation and globalization that the entire country has been experiencing. Even with the financial crisis, the Mississippi River Valley experienced a decline in manufacturing jobs of only about 36%, which is a decent number, of course. However, the entire nation sustained a 42% drop overall in manufacturing jobs. And even with these changes, the region still realized an economic growth of $47 billion, or 6.6% annually over the last 15 years. So the economic impact of this river is even greater than we had thought originally, but due to the economic profiles that have been conducted now, we have a better understanding of that. Now that we have all these numbers, what do they mean? Certainly, they signify how important the Mississippi River is to our nation as a resource. But beyond that, these figures are a driving action within the ranks of our association. It gives us the tools we need, the information, and the energy as well to advocate for the Mississippi River. For more on that, I'd like to yield the podium to Vidalia, Louisiana Mayor Hiram Copeland. Mayor Copeland.
Thank you, Mayor Slay. I have the great privilege to know Mayor Slay for a period of time, and I also want him to know I've always been a St. Louis Cardinal fan all these years. Tremendous. They just done a little slide right now. We need to pick them back up just a little bit, get above that 2.5-game lead. But this is a tremendous honor to be here today, and I want to thank Mayor Buell for his hosting this event to this tremendous city. I've never been impressed so much as I have in the last few days of being in his great city, and I know he's very proud and hard work by each and every one. But again, thank you, Mayor Slay. We've had several Louisiana mayors here today, including Gretna and Tallulah. The numbers revealed by these profiles for the Mississippi River are indeed incredible. Much bigger than we thought, but what does most of the river's economy depend on? Manufacturing, tourism, agricultural, outdoor recreation, and water supply. All need the same thing to thrive: clean water. By the time the river gets to us, the people in my state, just like the people in Minnesota or Iowa or Illinois, want to hunt, fish, and boat in clean water. Our manufacturing is less costly if facilities have access to clean water for processing, washing, and cooling. The cleaner the water, the better for irrigation. But most people in Portland, 50 of our cities, over 20 million people, drink the surface water of the Mississippi River. This is a staggering figure right here, withdrawing approximately 630 million gallons a day. What a tremendous amount. Therefore, if we're to keep this economy thriving, we will need to do our best to improve our water quality. That's why at this meeting, the mayors are taking steps to develop a clean water program. Through this program, mayors will work with states to implement clean water goals. The 10 states along the river are already moving, as well improving the quality of water leaving our cities. We will also work to support efforts to incentivize sustainable agricultural practices that reduce nutrient loading into the water column. I will now turn it back over to Mayor Buell for the next announcement.
Thank you, Mayor Copeland. Next, as we announced at our meeting in Washington, D.C. this past March, the MRCTI is sending a delegation to the United Nations climate meetings in Paris this December. Mayor Chris Coleman of St. Paul, Minnesota, will be one of the leaders of that delegation and has a development to share with you. Mayor Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor Buell. Thank you so much. It is hard to be a river rat and look out over this beautiful river and not want to be right out on it. But it is great to be here in Dubuque and be here with all my fellow brothers and sister mayors along the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River Valley is the most agriculturally productive zone on the entire earth, providing our nation with a trade surplus in agricultural products. The U.S. ranks first in food exports thanks to the Mississippi River. But our river is certainly not alone in producing food for the world. Other river valleys support other top food exporters across the globe, such as the Rhine, the Danube in Europe, the Amazon and the Parana rivers in South America, and the Ganges in Asia. The United Nations predicts that our global population will reach over 9 million people by 2050. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we'll have to produce more food in the next 35 years than we have in the last 10,000 years to meet the demand. The great unknown in all this is how climate change will impede our ability to meet the demand that is coming. We know that climate disruption is already having an impact on the Mississippi River. Over the last several years, the Mississippi River Valley has sustained successive 100, 200, and 500-year flood events. a 50-year drought, Hurricane Katrina, and Hurricane Isaac. The drought of 2012 alone cost our nation $35 billion in losses. It was the second most expensive natural disaster on Earth that year. The Mississippi River provides drinking water, as was noted, for 20 million people, including the residents of the city of St. Paul. And the Mississippi River is, of course, the flyway for millions of birds. Climate change will impact not only humans, but plants and animals as well. We also know that these effects are playing out for other major food-producing river basins across the globe. As mayors, we're concerned that as climate change impedes the ability of our major food-exporting river valleys, the gap will fall on the Mississippi River to fill. A dramatic increase in agricultural output in our river valley using unsustainable practices could devastate our region and the natural assets we depend upon. Thus, the mayors of the Mississippi River are going to Paris to discuss with representatives of the other major food-producing river valleys ways we can work together to make our food and water resources more sustainable. I'd ask that the mayors that will be joining me step forward as I announce your name. Together with me will be leading the delegation will be Mayor Hiram Copeland of Vidalia, Louisiana, Mayor Dave Kleiss of St. Cloud, Minnesota, Mayor Tim Cabot of La Crosse, Wisconsin, Mayor Roy Buell of Dubuque, Mayor A.C. Wharton of Memphis, Tennessee, who is not able to join us today, and Mayor Larry Brown of Natchez, Mississippi. The River Towns and Cities Initiative, announced in Washington and the Kingdom of the Netherlands, was a partner of ours in our work. Since then, we have gained 2 new partners. Mr. Martin Toms, the immediate past president of the International Society of River Scientists, who is joining us, or was joining us from Australia. We're not sure if he's here today. Martin and the Society are going to be working with us to make sure we get the science right and have a handle on the climate challenges facing our fellow river valleys. We're also very fortunate to have the United Nations Environmental Program as a partner in helping us identify and connect with critical stakeholders of the other food-producing river valleys. Patricia Beneke, an Iowa native, and the North American representative for UNEP, has joined us as well, and I will invite her to say a few words with us. Mrs. Beneke.
Thank you very much. As Director of the Regional Office for North America of the United Nations Environment Program, I'm delighted to have been invited by the mayors of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative to speak at this annual meeting and to join this press conference. I say this especially because I'm a native of the great state of Iowa, and I have a real affinity for and love this part of the world. Just a few brief words about the United Nations Environment Program. UNEP serves as a catalyst, educator, and facilitator to promote sustainable development of the global environment. For example, we work with countries all around the world to assist as they confront challenges of ensuring a supply of fresh waters for their fields, towns and villages, fish and wildlife, and other uses. I view at least a big part of my role as the regional director for North America to help ensure that the expertise, knowledge, and resources of North America are brought to bear on UNEP's efforts around the world to provide for sustainable development with the goal of helping to eradicate poverty, end hunger, and protect the environment. I've been very impressed by the efforts being made by the Mississippi River mayors to collaborate and cooperate with each other. I'm also impressed with what's being done along the Mississippi River, a river enormously important for agriculture and food supply, as you've heard here, to manage this river in a sustainable manner. Simply stated, great things are happening along the Mississippi River, and there are more great things to come. I'll echo that with respect to this particular town, Dubuque, Iowa, where great things are happening. For all of these reasons, I'm very pleased to know that a delegation of mayors from the Mississippi River is planning to go global and share their experience and knowledge by participating in the important conversations surrounding the upcoming Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, this coming December in Paris, France. Cities will be a major focus of attention in Paris, as cities are on the front lines of this problem. particularly in terms of dealing with the impacts of our changing climate. So again, I'm pleased to have joined the mayors at this annual meeting, and I congratulate them for their good work, their public service, and their efforts to reach a hand out around the world. Thank you.
Thank you to Mayor Coleman for your leadership. Thank you to Mr. Tomes and Ms. Beneke for your partnership to help us make this happen. We'll now open the floor to questions from the media, starting with those joining us on the phone, and then we will take questions from the folks in the room.
All callers are unmuted.
Okay, do we have any questions from anyone on the phone line?
Yeah, this is Maureen McCollum with Wisconsin Public Radio. I'm wondering if you can talk a bit more about the efforts that cities individually can do to make sure that cleaner water is either leaving their cities or to address nutrient load. Will there be money provided for them, or is this money that the cities themselves, money and solutions that the cities need to come up with themselves and then talk amongst yourselves?
Well, I can tell you from Dubuque's perspective, we are currently working on a program with the EPA to reduce our nutrient loading. I'm not sure if any other mayors have a program that is in place in their communities. I believe we're the first in Iowa to be working on that, and it's going to be quite comprehensive. And we're looking at a cost in the city of Dubuque of somewhere between $12 and $15 million, I believe, for that effort. Anyone else? Okay. Apparently no one else has gotten that far yet. Any other questions? Okay, we'll open it up then if there are any questions from anyone in the room here.
Yeah, so talk about how the picture of Mississippi River greater than you expected. I guess is there any data to look at what effect climate change, nutrient loading it is having on those economies? Is there any kind of profiles to look at quantitatively what that has done to the economic sector?
I don't know quantitatively. Go ahead, Mayor Dickert.
One of the things that is the great reason that these mayors are getting together and the mayors of the Great Lakes are getting together is because when you look at nutrient loading and what it's done for Toledo alone, where you had the nutrient loading from the ag industry really coming into the Maumee Valley, creating a situation where 500,000 people had to have their water turned off because of the algal blooms and the microsystems that were involved. The mayors of the Mississippi are just starting to see these issues facing the Mississippi. Because the Mississippi moves at a faster rate, you don't see this holding pattern where you get in the Great Lakes. But I will tell you, it is coming. And that cost those residents millions and millions of dollars. And thankfully, the mayor acted fast enough that no one died from that situation. But the cost of nutrient loading and the cost of the pollution and the algal blooms, which you're starting to see on some shorelines and banks of the Mississippi, which we're already seeing in the Great Lakes, is exponential, because it's not just the cleanup and the cleanup in the wastewater systems and the clean water systems, but it's also what it does to the shoreline, the reduction in property values, the health conditions. So what we're trying to do is this collaboration between the Mississippi mayors and the Great Lakes mayors is to remind everybody of what may be coming down the Mississippi. But here's the bigger issue. The bigger issue is this group has collaborated, as we are, trying to talk to the ag industry to say, let's work together. Let's not fight each other on this issue, because we need your food as much as you need our water. So instead of constantly butting heads, there is much more opportunity for success and collaboration. And that's what we're going to all work together to do, because if we don't, we can't afford to have another Toledo ever again.
And the final economic profile will include pieces on adaptation and those types of things. So that'll be in the final profile in more detail. They just haven't finished that yet. Okay, seeing no further questions then, I'll close by thanking everyone that joined us today for these announcements, and it is imperative that we become smarter about the critical nature of clean water and water systems globally so that our cities can actually function. In the words of one water researcher, like urban kidneys for the river. Thank you all for being here. Thank you.